You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 58, The Black Gang. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
Howdy, folks.
I watched the new Dungeons and Dragons movie recently.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No, not yet.
It is now. I'm not as up to date on Dungeons and Dragons. You know, I played it a few times in junior high, and then played other role playing games in high school, but was never like a big D&D guy. Everything as far as any experience that I might have with D&D is more reading Dragonlance books because I owned quite a bit of them back in the day.
Okay.
But the movie was set in the Forgotten Realms, and I don't know if the standard D&D setting anymore is the Forgotten Realms. But
no, it's Pathfinder is pretty much where everything is set now. But actually, having brought that up, Forgotten Realms, I believe, was originally intended as a D&D setting, and then they decided to write novels based there. But it had been a D&D setting for a while before the novels started coming out.
Yeah.
But
but the movie starts out up there by Icewind Dale.
Okay.
And they cross the spine of the world at one point. They talk about what is it, Baldur's Gate.
Okay. We're hitting them all.
They name the Moonshae Isles, which I know was a series of books. And
did they say anything about Menzoberranzan?
They did go into the Underdark, but they never, I don't think they ever mentioned Menzo Burns on, or however you pronounce it. I was really hoping, because I was waiting for a Drizzt cameo, which never happened.
Oh, wow, too bad. Okay.
There is an amazing cameo in that movie, though, that just blew me out of my seat. And if y'all don't mind me spoiling it, I'll tell you what it is.
I don't mind to be spoiled.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Put your spoiler muffins on, folks, if you don't want to know. There's a moment near the end of the movie where your group they have to basically participate in like a kind of like a gladiatorial games type thing. There's like 5 or 6 different groups that are all competing. They're going through this maze and they're trying to collect stuff. Basically, it's like a Dungeons and Dragons. But they show at one point one of the groups from kind of far off, and then we get up close to them a little bit later, but it's the freaking characters from the 80s Dungeons and Dragons Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, okay.
It just blew me away. I just went, hold on, they look kind of familiar. And then they come into them a little bit later, and it's like the little kid barbarian with the big club and the guy with the freaking bow. All of them were there. It was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, something like that they would have done on purpose. That too much effort to that's a major Easter egg there.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. But otherwise, it was a pretty good movie. It was kind of fun.
Well, cool. Yeah, it looks like it, and it's on my to watch list. Just a matter of getting there, through everything else. And now summer is starting to kick up, and some other shows are starting to return that we want to watch. And we have. I think the last time I checked, we have 5 or 6 movies in there on DVD that we want to watch that we've been buying.
Yeah.
Just haven't watched them yet. So, we're probably 4 or 5 months into the dawn of DC.
Yeah.
They have released 4 Superman-based books. They've released Superman, The Adventures of Superman John Kent, Superboy, Man of Tomorrow, and most recently, Steelworks. And I believe that was the order that they were released in, actually.
And then Action Comics as well.
Yeah, you're right. Why do I not have that on here? I didn't even think of that. And Action Comics has been on it since the beginning, haven't they? Didn't they start?
I think so.
Pretty much. So they probably have either 3 or 4 issues out of Action Comics under Dawn of DC. That's where it started, isn't it? Action Comics, where it had all of the...
I think so, yeah. I think it was the first of them to have the banner at the top.
Yeah, it had like 4 or 5 of the Superman family vignettes through it. It's kind of an anthology book. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you been reading all of these as they have been?
I haven't read Superboy. Of course, I'm a month behind because I'm reading them on the app.
Right.
Superboy, I've started it a couple times. It just hasn't really held my interest.
Okay.
I've read all the others. I'm enjoying everything. The other Superman. Well, I haven't read Steelworks yet because it just came out. So
yeah, I think just last week. So yeah.
It'll be on the app next month. But
so anything in any of those standing out to you that you honestly can say you are enjoying and you're looking forward to the next one when it rolls around?
I'm really enjoying Adventures of Superman, John Kent.
Okay.
I'm enjoying Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember what's going on in Action Comics, to tell you the truth.
Well, it's bouncing around so much. I mean, it's the one that has had the Battle Planet twins in it.
Bye, Billy.
Bye, Billy. Oh, he said that as soon as he got on. Yeah. Okay. I'm enjoying Superman. I can't explain to you why, but there's just something about the story that just it's really it's working for me.
It feels very unique for a character that's been, publishing comics nonstop for 80 years. They've been telling stories about this character for 80 years. It feels fairly unique and new.
I've been enjoying Action Comics because it's been hitting on a little bit of the different aspects of the Superman mythos. Now with John Kent and Superboy and John Steele having their own books, I don't know if they're going to continue to have I don't know if they're going to continue to make cameos really in Action Comics, or if they have moved them out into the books and they're going to focus on some of the other characters like Supergirl, I guess Power Girl, the twins from the Battle Planet, or whatever they're calling that, which a lot of those I'm not as interested in. So I've really been digging the Superman book. John Kent to a lesser extent, and Superboy to a much lesser extent. So the younger the characters get, I don't know, just the less interesting they are to me. John Henry Irons, I'm interested in him and his daughter and that whole, because I'm not as familiar with them after the death and rebirth, or whatever they call it at the time, of Superman. His basically very near his introduction, if not his introduction. Was that Irons' introduction?
Yeah, that was,
was the death of Superman? Okay, yeah. So, because I read the death of, and I read the funeral of a friend, and then Supermen, I guess, where all four of them were running around.
The Supermen,
and then after that, I fell off and just whatever, did other things with it. So that's as far as I read John Henry. And anytime I've looked at Superman books, I've seen, he's still around, and his daughter, or maybe plural daughters. Now I see that she has a suit of her own, and so it'll be interesting. Kind of reminds me of what they did with the Black Lightning and his daughters on the TV show. And so that piqued my interest. So I've kept up with everything so far. Actually, I've managed to read all of the Dawn of DC stuff, even though I have to pull the needles out of my eyeballs that I insert when I read Harley Quinn, because I absolutely detest that character.
I'm gonna read that one.
And I'm
my youngest daughter, who I think next year will be her senior year in high school. She loves Harley Quinn. But that's pretty much.
I do not identify with Harley. It's especially now the way it's written. It's I'm curious about Poison Ivy. I think her book just got the Dawn of DC flag on it or whatever. So, in that she is so intimately tied up now with Harley Quinn, I don't know how I'm going to feel about Poison Ivy. But you like that show? Oh, the Black Lightning TV show. Yeah, it was good. It was interesting. It was different. I thought it was well done, particularly for whatever the channel network was for one of their shows.
CW.
Yeah, the CW. Again, I think most of their shows, I am not the demographic they're trying to draw. But Black Lightning, they seem to maybe make that attempt to get a little bit older, so.
Yeah, I keep meaning to check that one out. It's the only one that interests me in any way as far as all their shows.
It was good. It was good. It was reserved. I mean, they weren't, he wasn't a big, bold superhero, and they really worked on the family aspect, and they really worked on he has daughters in school and he works in a school and the importance of school. And, so it definitely had a different slant on it. Okay. I'm good. I'm done.
Well, I read Green Arrow, first issue. I enjoyed it. And Green Lantern, enjoyed that one too. I was really, when they announced Green Lantern, I was at first it's like, I'm getting kind of tired of Hal Jordan, especially after recently reading the Far Sector 12-issue series with Joe Mullen. She's officially my favorite Green Lantern, but I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a good first issue. So those are definitely ones I'm looking forward to.
I agree. Yeah, most of them I'm looking forward to. And I think I find that unless it's Wonder Woman, female-driven books just don't seem to maintain my interest. Yeah. And younger character books don't seem to maintain my interest. So I'm wondering if I'll be able to keep up with like Titans, although they're not really young, but sometimes they slant it younger. Because Nightwing, there's not really anything young about Nightwing, not anymore,
Yeah.
And they've had everybody else who is on the Titans grow up too. So I think it'll be okay. I started
reading the Doom Patrol. I haven't finished it yet, but it's kind of fun so far.
Wow. They have dropped everybody possible in that book so far that has had anything to do with Doom Patrol. And that's what I think is cool, is that it's referential all the way back to the 60s. And that's cool, because you have to work to do that. You have to find the people. You have to figure out a good way to work them in. Hopefully you reflect their characterization accurately for how they have been done in the past. And so if you do all that, it's like, you put in the time to really make this a cool product. And that's the kind of stuff I can appreciate.
Yep. All right. We ready to talk about this Superman story?
Yes, sir.
All right. Today we're looking at the Black Gang, which is the fourth story to appear in Superman #7. It was written by Jerry Siegel, pencils by Joe Shuster, and inks by Wayne Boring. Superman #7 has a cover date of November/December 1940, but an on-sale date of September 10th, 1940. And here's what happened. Lois and Clark go undercover to a nightclub to get the story on a band of crooks called the Black Gang. During the evening, the couple is approached by Frank Jordan and Jane Day. Jane convinces Clark to take her home in a cab. The cab is pulled over by the Black Gang, but Clark escapes. Lois leaves with Jordan, and he kidnaps her for her jewels. When he and the Black Gang discover that she is a reporter and not a high society gal, they decide to kill her. Superman arrives in time to save Lois and catch the gang, recovering evidence to convict them, including a reporter, Peter Peeker, who works for a rival newspaper and was a member of the gang. And every time I read that dude's name, I had to do it again, because every time I read Peter Parker, every single time.
So did I. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, folks, if you don't have access to these stories, here is the kind of thing you miss. This is the narration on the splash page for this story. Metropolis at night. Myriads of lights gleaming and glittering in deepest dark. With the ending of the day's toil, the great city's populace seeks relaxation in theaters, amusement parks, nightclubs. But suddenly, a menace faces merrymakers, the Black Gang, a band of ruthless thieves who specialize in brutal robberies of nightclub patrons, terrorizes the town. I mean, come on. That's just...
Yeah, and that's how you succeed as a criminal organization, is to specialize.
Well, yeah.
Don't spread yourself out. Specialize, and they've chosen nightclub patrons.
Yep. you only use the hookers, or you only sell the blow, or you only move guns, or specialize. And
Well, and when I read this today and read that opening box there, at first I thought that's the dumb. Why are they focusing on just people who go to nightclubs? Because I'm thinking of nightclubs nowadays where it's just normal people. But, back at this time, it's like high society people. That's who are hanging out. That didn't hit me until as I got into the book. And then it made sense. It's like, all right, I can get behind you going after people who go to nightclubs.
Yeah. Once upon a time, average Joe couldn't afford nightclubs, but of course they had to open it up to him because there's many more average Joes than there are rich people. So you end up making more money if you appeal to the average Joe.
We get to see Lois as a blonde.
Yes.
Which about knocks Clark on his butt.
And we see Clark without his glasses.
Yeah, that was a good scene. He's very worried because they, as the synopsis says, they go undercover. They go to this nightclub to try to catch get the story on the Black Gang. And so Lois bleaches her hair because she figures somebody's going to recognize her because she's famous Lois Lane.
Right.
And then so she tells Clark that he's got to do something as well to change his look, and tells him to take off his glasses. And he's super nervous. He doesn't want to do it because he's afraid that she's going to recognize, not Superman. It's just always been that joke. But when he takes his glasses off, of course, she's like, you're quite handsome.
Yep. She also tones down on the mascara quite a bit.
Yeah.
As part of her cover. Looks like she uses as much lip highlighter, whatever you want to call it. But the mascara is significantly less for her, too.
I really liked how Clark obviously likes blondes, apparently, because it's like when he first sees her, he's just like, Booga! And, rockets are going off in his head and stuff. And it's like, all right, so we know that Clark likes Lois, but he really likes her as a blonde,
Yep. Which we now know the black hair is her natural color.
Yeah.
In case, we needed to know that because she had to bleach in order to get the blonde.
Yeah. This is another one of those that on the surface for a Superman story, you think it's not, just a bunch of crooks with black hoods on, fancy suits, robbing people from nightclubs. But it had kind of a few moments in it that made it kind of fun. I really liked Clark he was playing the part of Bruce Wayne in the nightclub because he's just this rich playboy throwing money around.
Money everywhere.
But at first, because Lois is really, tip him $20. And he's like, $20? Of course, this is a guy that he's got a crap ton of money. We've established that already because he bought all those tickets for those kids for the circus. He made that $2 million from the oil deal or whatever. But he obviously really is a spendthrift because he didn't like the idea of spending that $20. But then he really kind of gets into it. He's giving money to the dancing girls and he's having fun. But it does what it's supposed to do, which is to draw the attention of the people that are there in the nightclub looking for somebody to rob. And Lois, they establish, is just wearing a crap ton of costume jewelry.
Right. Which they don't find out it's costume until later.
The bad guys don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. That was part of her disguise, is that she went blonde, put on kind of a slinkier dress, not an LBD. Actually, this is green, but it's long too, isn't it? Yeah, it comes down. So it's not a little anything. It's a green, more a formal dress, blonde hair, and lots of paste theater jewelry that she has. I don't know why she would have had it hanging around, but
what's funny is though you kind of flip through this and it's like, all right, she's wearing at least a couple of bracelets on one arm, but she doesn't have any necklaces on. I'm not seeing any evidence of big gaudy rings. So it's like she's supposed to be draped in, jewels and gold, but apparently the artist didn't get that note.
Or they didn't want to put the time in. I'm sure that kind of stuff is annoying panel after panel to remember which finger and what the brooch looked like and all that kind of stuff.
My favorite moment of this story comes right after Lois and Clark introduce themselves to Peter Peeker. I have to think about it to say his name right.
Right.
Which that panel is pretty funny by itself because she tells him, Peter says, I've never seen you two around here before. And she goes, easily explained. Ralph Carlson is an Oklahoma oil man. And then Clark says, and anyone in Oklahoma could tell you that Kay Andrews is one of its leading socialites. And then 2 panels later, you get this guy looking over at Lois. It's just, there's a text box above it, but it's just this guy just going, just kind of eyeballing her.
Yeah. Yep.
You can almost hear like a dream weaver and little hearts going around his head and stuff. It's a funny look. It's a funny panel. But
Clark
gets really jealous.
Yeah, he tries to get in his line of sight there to block from looking at Lois.
Right.
It's like,
that's right. That is, that very next panel. That's a great panel. He's really craning his neck.
Yeah,
I don't like the way this guy's looking at you. She's like, well, you don't have to deliberately block his view. But we get a redhead hitting on Clark. Of course, she's one of the bad guys. That's her job, is to get the men out of the club. And then the good-looking guy that was looking at Lois, he gets the women out of the club, and then they take them somewhere to be robbed. And this story actually establishes, because we have a number of moments throughout these books where, like, Lois will throw herself at Superman, and he's always like, "Lady, back away! That's crazy." Whereas most red-blooded men would be like, "Oh, I'll smooch up on you," But
okay,
it's almost like they establish in this one, because this girl's cozying up to him in the cab, and she's like, "Come on, don't you want to make out and stuff?" And she actually says to him, what does she say? Haven't you ever had the urge to hold a girl in your arms, crush her tight? And his thought is, inasmuch as I'm Superman, I'm afraid I might forget myself and crack her ribs.
Yeah.
So that's why he doesn't take advantage
afraid of injuring
all the ladies
somebody
that throw themselves at him. Yeah.
Yeah. Guess in his excitement, he might lose himself.
I changed my mind about my favorite moment.
Okay.
It's actually this moment here when they get out of the cab and the black gang are there, and one of them smacks Clark in the back of the head with one of those, I don't know what you call them, a little
Is that called
leather.
Billy Jack?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Billy Jack, something like that. Yeah. But Clark, instead of doing what he would normally do, and that's pretend, like it hurt, he just runs away. He just runs off into the woods. They're shooting at him. Bullets are ricocheting off his back, and he's upset that his suit is now ruined. And that's my favorite moment. Just they club him in the back of the head, and he just runs. And they're like, "What the flip?" And he's screaming, "Help, help!" as he's running away. And then we have at least 3 of them just unloading at him as he's running away. And
hitting him. Good. I mean, they're good shots.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. If he was a regular dude, he'd be dead.
Yep. And did you notice that the artist drew 2 different kinds of handguns? Oh
yeah. Yep. Revolver and 2 automatics.
2 automatics. Yeah. Did they have automatics, I guess, in the 40s? I guess they did.
But, yeah. Okay.
I mean, I know they had revolvers.
Trying to think of the name of that, because there's a particular gun that Colt made. It was like one of the first. And I know it was a big deal for, I don't know if it was maybe officers carried them in the war.
Okay.
Colt 1911, or I can't remember what it's called. I used to be really into guns because of some stuff I tried to write once.
Gotcha.
I'm looking through here, see if anything else jumps out. There's a guy in here, and I don't know if this is Peter Peeker, who looks very much like Alfred. He's got a top hat on, but he's got this little mustache. It's like Alfred, Batman's butler.
I was going to say Batman's Alfred. Okay.
Yeah.
The first incident of a car screeching into the parking building, the green car, they pass a sign that says "No parking, green hat." Any idea what that means? Green hat?
No idea.
No parking, green hat. I don't know. I mean, it's a green car that they're driving. I don't know if that's a coincidence or, if one has anything to do with the other.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah, hopefully. Maybe the green hat is a valet allusion. It's alluding to valet parking, perhaps.
Yeah. The name of
maybe
the garage,
you can't
maybe
park
the parking
because
garage.
There's green hats, and the green hat is what they're calling a valet.
Maybe. We have a moment where they shoot at Superman, and he catches the bullets and throws them back at him.
And they dance.
Yeah, that's right.
Like they did in the Old West. People shooting at their feet. He tells them, throws them at their feet and says, "Now dance." And several of them are reacting to that. One of which is a female, which is kind of funny, I think.
Yeah. She's hiking up her dress as she's dancing.
Well, yeah, that way she can move her feet better and dance better.
Yeah. Really get into it. Do some hot stepping. But yeah, Superman's, we're seeing kind of the return of the quippy Superman. We're seeing that more in these last few stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because he before they shoot at him, he knocks the guys down just like bowling pins. Then they shoot at him and he catches them and says, "Thanks, fellas. Now dance."
Yep. Haven't had too many quips here the past little bit, but yeah, obviously he hasn't forgotten how to.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else. Do you have a favorite moment from this one?
Peter Peeker did. Probably when he catches the bullets and throws them at the bad guys. Yeah. Tells them to dance, throwing the bullets at their feet. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Is this the one? Let me go back to the beginning. Yeah, this is the one that opens up with the front page of the Morning Pictorial, which is the competition, the Daily Planet's competition. And the editor, who we only get his last name too, Editor Kennedy of the Morning Pictorial telephones rival Editor White of the Planet. And he asked Perry, did you read Peeker's latest scoop on the Black Gang? And Perry's response is, "Me? I never read your blasted sheet." But then he learns that the Pictorial is scooping them. They got to do something about that.
You know he reads it.
Oh, yeah.
To see what they're doing.
Not to read it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're direct competitors at a time when newspapers were the thing. So, that's nowadays you don't really know what that's like as the common man, because papers aren't, once upon a time, newspapers were about the only source of information. Whatever was in the paper would wind up on the radio, eventually. Yeah. But radios really didn't. That's not what radios did. They were for entertainment, not for information.
Yeah.
Newspapers were where you got your information.
Yep. Yeah. When I worked at Walgreens a couple of years ago, every once in a while I'd sell a newspaper. Most often, if I was working a Sunday morning, we would get just a small stack of newspapers every day, maybe 10 of them. Mm-hmm. And most days there would be at least 75% of them left over. But on Sundays, they tended to sell out.
Okay.
But a lot of that would be because of the ads, the coupons and stuff they'd stick in the middle of those.
Oh, that's the sales paper ads and the funnies, the comics. Yeah. I've got a newspaper man here in the other room. As a matter of fact, that's Terry works for our local newspaper. Yeah. She works in a much better paying office than a reporter, but she does work for our local newspaper.
Cool. I used to throw papers when I was a kid.
Okay. I got hit by a couple. So
one of my first jobs.
I think there's a lot of folks that are of a particular age that was among their first jobs. Yeah. Being a newspaper delivery person.
Yeah. That's, it's like nowadays, like with my kids, it's, back in my day, that's something you do as your first job. You go get a job throwing newspapers. And now really about the only thing that's similar to that we had back then that teenagers are still doing now would be mowing lawns in the summer.
That's probably about the only thing.
Yeah.
Most any jobs now are indoor doing something, customer service somehow. So, yeah.
Yep. All right. Anything else you want to say about this one?
I don't think so. Just another kind of, not in a pejorative manner, but another pedestrian kind of story that Superman has had. He's like we said at the an episode, or actually probably multiple episodes ago, there seems to be, we're in the midst of a run of this kind of Superman against the man kind of stuff. The bad guy or the corrupt guy or we're just in the midst of one of these runs, and I keep reading, hoping that it will finally break out of that and get something a little bit more exotic.
Yeah. It's like the quality we've reached kind of a point where the quality has gone up. The stories look better. They're told better, but you read them and you enjoy them. Man, that was a good story. Let's read the next one. But they're not something that 6 months from now you're gonna remember a lot of stuff that happened in these stories. Nothing is standing out quite yet.
We're at the end of 1940. When did the U.S. enter World War II?
I don't know if it's going on at this point, but it was. I'm fairly certain that Pearl Harbor was December of 41.
I was going to say I should know that. Yeah, December of 41. So we've got another year before something major starts happening, although it might happen a little bit before that, where, I don't know, maybe we'll start seeing some more Nazi spies or, something to break out of this ordinary kind of bad guy kind of thing.
Yeah, because I know that, America was not going to get involved. Right. And it was public opinion was that's not our fight. There were, of course, just like today, there were a contingent of people that's like, we got to get over there and America's got to get involved. We got to help this. We got to help them, and then there were the others and we're not going to do that. But then, of course, Pearl Harbor happens and everybody's like, oh, hell no. You don't do that to the U.S.
Yeah, that's right. It's like there is no not get involved now.
Yeah. All right. Ready to wrap it up?
All righty. Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to this episode. Until next week, I'm Steven, and that's Ed. This was the Superman Super Show. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Superman Super Show. Questions and comments can be directed to the Superman Super Show at gmail.com. You can follow the show on Twitter under the handle @SoupsSuperShow. That's @SUPS Super Show. And continue the conversation at the Super Show Forum at forums.justanotherfanboy.com. We also encourage you to rate the show wherever available and share this podcast with a friend. All links will be in the show notes.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Me. I need one of those, the old school things where they'd spray the stuff in their mouth before the radio announcer before they'd start talking. Or the opera singer on a cartoon.
I was going to say somebody will put something in it and you'll get all tight and start squeaking and have a little head, or all these goofy things. Who knows what's going to happen? Your head will shrink.
Yeah.
Mouth will pull tight to where you can't talk. I mean, yeah.
All right.